Right, so in today's video I'm going to be explaining how you can overseed and top dress your lawn with topsoil, and also how you can fertilise it too. The lawn that I'm going to be overseeding and fertilising today is the lawn that I did a renovation on earlier in the lawn care season. There's a video on my channel which shows the complete renovation, from scarifying it to levelling it with topsoil and then to actually seeding it too. It's been about 5.5 weeks since the original renovation, so it's time to be fertilised and also time to add some extra seeding where there's some spaces on the lawn. Right, so it's been about a month now since we overseeded the lawn and it's looking really nice, really healthy. Not perfect, but in a pretty decent condition. So there are a few things I'm going to do to this lawn today. The first one is to overseed, because there are some patches, especially towards the wall here, which the seed really hasn't come through. I think it sort of washed towards the wall and dropped down, so I need to overseed those patches. And there's also the odd little patch in the lawn as well. Nothing major, but just a few spaces that I want to tackle now before they get too bare as we get further into the season. Now, although the lawn is looking pretty good, there are a few spaces which aren't amazing. So, for example, we do have the odd weed at the front. If we move further in, we've got the odd weed here too. And I do have a plan to tackle these. So I'm not going to deal with these today, but these are something which I am going to be sorting out in the next few weeks. I'm using the A1 Lawns Premiership Pro Grass seed to overseed this lawn. It's the exact same seed that I seeded the lawn with originally, so it should blend in perfectly well once the plant matures. So you can see I'm not putting a huge amount of seed down, but just enough seed just to fill in all these different spaces. Now, there are a lot of reasons why you do end up with patches in your lawn after you do such a heavy overseeding that I did. And one of them is just to do with bird take. So even if you have top dressed with topsoil or compost, the birds still get to the seeds sometimes, and it's just inevitable. So you do have to expect some of your seeds to be taken by the birds. Also, not all your seeds will take that you put down as well. Sometimes they rot away if they're left too moist in the soil, and sometimes you just don't take at all. So it's not 100% guaranteed every seed's going to come through looking as good as the rest. Now, I was usually going with a little bit of compost, but instead today I'm going to be going on with some of the Westland topsoil instead. Reason being is I've just not been to the garden centre to pick up any compost. I've got a little bit of soil left in the garage from when we did the heavy overseeding and the levelling, so I'm going to just sprinkle that over the top. I'm not going to brush it in with a brush or with any lawn roots, anything like that. I'm just going to get my hands, brush it between the grass blades just to make sure that I don't suffocate the grass that's already there, and then I can get on with the fertiliser. Obviously, if you've got a massive space doing this by hand, it's going to be an absolute nightmare. So you might want to get on the lawn roots or with using like the back of a rake or a brush to move the soil around. But with a space this small, just may as well brush it in with your hands. You can use a glove, but again, you can just do it with your bare hands. It's not going to kill you. like I said, if you've got a bigger space than this, doing it by hand is going to be a bit of a nightmare, because if you've got 50 to 100 square metres or even bigger than that, you can't exactly do it by hand. What you can do is dump the topsoil down in larger patches and rake it out with a regular rake or even with a lawn lute. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get on with some fertiliser. Now, there are a few people who do say when you're overseed, don't fertilise at the same time, because you're going to be fertilising the grass that's already there, which gives that a boost of growth, and it's going to almost outshadow any of the new seedlings that come through. Now, I would disagree, and that's for a couple of different reasons. The first reason is that this grass is ready for its first proper fertilisation. I fertilised it when I first put the seed down, which a few people commented and said didn't need to do, which, you know, they were right actually in hindsight, even though it did put nutrients into the soil. But what's going to happen now is the fertiliser is going to give the current grass some good nutrients and some good nitrogen to thrive on and to grow over the next few weeks, and it's going to provide a little bit of shelter for those new seedlings that are coming through. It'll keep the soil moist, and then in about 6 weeks' time I can get on with another round of fertiliser to give the grass that extra bit of a boost too. So the fertiliser I'm using is the A1 Lawns Spring Summer Fertiliser. It's the same stuff I've used in the back lawn so far this year, and the results are mega. I'll show a clip on screen now of the grass that I cut in the back garden, which was cut about 4 days after applying this, and you can see how much the grass actually booms once you put it down. And there we go. It's been about 6 days now since we actually put the fertiliser down on the lawn, and the difference is absolutely massive. You can just see how thick the lawn has become just over the past 6 days. We had quite a lot of rain just after we put the fertiliser down, and that has helped to water everything in really well. So I had a couple of cuts over this week, but just taking the tips off the grass, you can see the difference it really does make to your lawn. Now, with regard to some of the new seed that's coming through, you can see in the patch here there are a few little seedlings on the way through, and that is the same thing across the lawn too. So that's everything for today's video. If you did enjoy it, feel free to give it a like, and if you'd like to check out any of my other lawn tip videos or my garden renovation series, head over to my channel, and if you like what you see, feel free to subscribe. And finally, thanks for watching.